Okay, should be calming the fact that you see a sage wall to your teammates right now.
It's clear.
I bet you money your gecko or wingman dies here pushing out because you haven't communicated anything to them yet.
They're here. Be careful.
Yep, there it is. Hey everyone, so today we're looking at Arena on Bind in Bronze 3. They're having issues with peeking, holding angles, and losing gunfights, so a lot of the focus will be on how to combat bad habits in those areas. And I'll get into a little bit of game sense as well that can help anyone out at this rank. Let's get into the first round.
I'll rotate. There's a wall.
Okay, so don't rotate. The first thing, every time there's a sage wall, so specifically right here, and you know that the sage is not playing on top of it, you want to break it. The biggest, easiest reason for that is now they only have to focus on 3 choke points. So long, hookah, and shower, because they've walled this off and you didn't shoot it out. So you always want to shoot that out unless you know that they're playing on top of it, so that now they still have to focus on 4 choke points.
Yes.
Cypher's here.
Stim beacon here.
Careful, trips. Careful.
Okay, good trade. You know Jet's back in spawn. Okay, let me just quickly explain a concept here, and I'll show you in game as well. You know one of them died right here, and you know that they have line of sight into this area. So you know that they have to be coming from spawn, right? At least the people rotating from spawn. There could definitely be somebody flanking, but you know that there's going to be people rotating from A. Let me show you how this works in game in terms of like peeking and crosshair placement. Okay, so when you reached out to me to kind of go over this VOD review, you mentioned this idea that you're feeling like people are killing you before you can kill them when you peek, or when you're holding an angle. This is probably a good reason for why, and it's your crosshair placement. So again, like I mentioned, you knew your team just killed Jet here, and so more than likely you're gonna have people rotating in from spawn, which means they're gonna be right there, right? Your crosshair was up here when you peek this angle. So one, that's already a little bit too high for people that are right here. Normally it's gonna be a little bit lower, like right here. But two, what that means is when you peek this, when people are coming from right here, you now have to peek and then adjust and then shoot. And that's exactly what happened, right? You peeked it, you adjusted, and then you started shooting at the Yoru with your classic. One, I wouldn't have come all the way back here anyway because it was a 4v2 and you just gave them a potential leg up by making it 3v2. But two, when you do peek, you want to make sure that your crosshair is already in this area for you to be able to shoot. Otherwise, again, what you're doing is peeking, adjusting, shooting. And that's just going to give the person that you're shooting a leg up on you every single time.
Let's just go through lamps because I noticed Sage just walls there. And please smoke heaven. Thank you.
Okay, so you called lamps, but you're going shower. Just thing to notice. Okay, so you got lucky there. I'm going to be honest. If that Yoru had a gun, you probably would have died. And let me explain why. It's the same exact concept I just went over. Let me go in game. Okay, so same problem as the last round with the crosshair placement. Let's get this first thing out of the way though. Don't have your knife as you're scaling up shower. It's a very highly contested area. You want to make sure that you are ready to take this fight whenever you can. The second thing is, so this is kind of building on the previous round, the idea of crosshair placement. Right here, as that gap is widening, right? So like think of this as like a box, right? And as you're moving in this direction, you're exposing more and more of that box to yourself and to the enemy. So when you get to the area of that box that people are normally going to be peeking, you want to make sure that you're ready for it, right? So notice how I was aiming through the wall at the area that they're more than likely going to be peeking, and then I peek it, and I'm ready. Same thing goes for you. Your crosshair was out here as you came through this angle. You were looking here. All of this is open, and they're going to start to kill you now because you're looking at the wall. So you want to make sure that, one, you're not doing this, right? Because what does that mean? Like we explained last round, if there is somebody here, you now have to adjust your aim to either here or here or here. Whereas if you did it this way as you scale, ready, 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 right? You want to make sure that your crosshair is available and ready wherever the enemy could be, not out here. So I don't think you have to flash here. I'm gonna be honest. The Dizzy already caught everything in here, right? It caught all of bench, it caught all of this area, and it caught all of that area. Made sure that those are terrible arrows, but you don't have to be flashing here. I would use this flash back here to cover Cubby in the back and spawn here if you do end up pushing.
Launching smoke.
Yeah, so I would flash right here, and now you're perfect. This is a terrible smoke, but can't control that.
Spike landed. Thanks, Wings.
Clear. Lamps clear.
Good clear, good comms, good job.
Jets on site.
I would just hold this. I would stay. I wouldn't push.
2 on site.
Okay, so you just turned this into a 4v3 easy win into a 3v3 potentially difficult win. This Sage here, I think either has a Ghost or a Classic, and there's 3 of them back here, right? All 3 are back here. You just gave them a Spectre, right? And now they have a Bucky, a Spectre, and a potential Classic versus a Stinger, a Classic, and a Deagle, right? So there's this concept within lurking that I think is super important where, let's say you bought and you were Reyna on this round specifically, you don't want to like push too deep into their spawn, or you don't want to lurk on your own somewhere else, because if you die, you could end up giving them a gun that gives them the advantage. That's exactly what's happening here. You've just given them a Spectre against weaker buys in order to potentially seal the round for them instead of your team.
I don't know, honestly. I
just go ahead, yeah. Sage walling round.
I forgot to buy, so I'm watching you guys.
Hold up. Flashing.
Good comms. I don't hate it.
Yoru TP.
Good comms again. Okay, nice
I
adjustment.
didn't mean
Nice,
to take that
nice
from you.
kill.
That's my fault.
No, you're good, bro.
You're pushing in for your team. I love it. Good flash.
Smoke's down.
Terrible smoke by your brim, but that's fine. You can't control that. I love that you're pushing and clearing. Yep, this is great. Good stuff. Okay, so not much you could do there, because to be honest, your brim, I mean, this is the worst smoke imaginable. You never want to put that smoke there. And then this smoke is also really, really bad. Gives them room to play on both sides. There's not much that you could have done differently here because of the way that these smokes were positioned. Maybe I would have just kind of held this angle from either hookah, or when I jump down, just kind of hold this angle to make sure nobody pushes the smoke. But yeah, this is just a really weird round with your brim smokes.
If that's what you guys want to do.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to buy a flash.
She walled it.
Smoke's down.
Again, just shoot it out. Yeah, just shoot out the wall. Always shoot out the wall, unless you think somebody's sitting on top of it. In which case, just ask somebody to watch the top of the wall for you.
Let's just meet them halfway then.
I don't know what that comm means, but that's okay.
Sage's wall's about to break.
Not a super great clear with a Bucky. You should have been clearing the closer angle instead of the longer angle, but
Yo.
Random switch.
did you
Switch
drop the
console.
Vandal? Pick it up. You should be picking it up.
Reyna, I was trying to switch you guns, man.
Yeah, you should definitely have picked that up as quickly as possible instead of trying to get the trip.
What the
And yeah, again, clearing angles. Let me explain it in game again. Okay, so you kill the Sage, right? It's unfortunate that you didn't realize there was a Vandal down there and you couldn't trade it out sooner, or you couldn't kill the Sage before they killed your Gecko. But earlier in the round, you cleared this area, right? And you shot out the Cypher trip. So what you want to do from that point forward now is focus on the right side, because it's very unlikely that after you do that they sprint down this way and sit here and hold this angle. The way that you cleared this angle was not ideal. Again, the way that you should be clearing is pre-aim, clear, right? Now pre-aim, clear. You sprinted in, and then again, you had to adjust. So you exposed yourself to too many angles before you were ready to take this fight. The whole within a tactical shooter like Valorant, and this goes for like CS:GO and Rainbow Six Siege, you need to be isolating the fights that you take. So when you sprint out like this, you're exposed to that. You're exposed to someone here. You're exposed to somebody playing right behind the box. You're exposed to somebody playing above the box. You're exposed to way too many angles. And so take a breath, right? Expose yourself to one angle, shoot. Expose yourself to another angle, shoot. Expose yourself to a third angle, shoot. Obviously, don't shoot every time, but you get what I'm trying to say. You have to intentionally peek, right? You can't just peek everything and then say, okay, I'm gonna kill anyone that's in this entire vicinity, because that's just gonna end up in a really, really poor gunfight for you.
If you guys break this wall semi-fast, I can just ult in.
Yeah, we got it.
That's a good plan. You should be following that ult for sure.
Launching smoke.
I said break the wall.
As soon as you finish this reload, you should be pushing in. You should be going right now, ahead of your brim.
It's clear all the way through.
Yeah, so that
Jeez, look close.
So that's rough, right? So your gecko definitely didn't clear all of this, and you gave the comm that everything was clear. Unfortunate. However, you should be the one dying here. I know that sounds silly, but your brim should be the one trading you out, or your gecko should be the one trading you out. You should already, if that sage wasn't there, for example, you should already be out here in like lamps, or maybe out here in main, creating and taking that space for your team and holding these positions for your team to be able to scale into sight and get a plant. It's unfortunate that the gecko didn't see the sage, but it should be you pushing in with that gecko ult, right? So initiator and duelist are best friends. You guys need to be pairing up and playing together off of each other's utility very, very regularly. So the minute you saw him pull out his ult, you should be scaling as quickly as possible. And this way, if you end up dying, that's fine, right? You've done your job. You've created the space. They trade you out. And now you still have an additional smoke and an additional molly for a potential post plant.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you should have picked up that gun. There was a vandal that was just dropped in cubby.
Didn't check.
Just in the corner. Joe.
Chicken lamps, chicken lamps.
Good comms, good clear. You don't need to push here. This is super unnecessary. Yeah.
What
It's
the hell?
super unnecessary. You shouldn't be surprised, right? There's obviously going to be people here because they're rotating from B. Yeah, you just got a couple of picks on A site, and so there's going to be people back there. You want to make sure that, again, you don't need to push everything in their spawn. You can just hold this lamps control and keep it. In some instances, it's fine to push and keep control of their spawn if you know or have intel that there's people that haven't rotated yet, but you're going to run into this problem every time if you continue to push site, and now you've given the defending team an unfair advantage, or a fair advantage to them, unfair advantage to your team.
Let's just go B.
Slow.
One less.
Crosshair's a little too high there. Should be a little lower.
Reloading.
Just trying to...
Nice. I like that you're shooting it out. It's good. Be the first one in. Okay, continue if you want to. Okay, the crosshair placement there wasn't great. Again, you had to adjust, but you got the opening pick and you were first to push your team on site, which is what your job is. Good. Pushing back site here and pushing their spawn again. In this instance, it's not a bad idea because it's 4v1, so getting that early intel is probably good. Great. That was a great peek. That was a fantastic peek. So let me show you in game. Okay, so at the beginning there, you did that thing where you adjust, right? There was like a wall here. You did that thing where you expose yourself to all the angles, and then you adjust to where you see the enemy. Again, you should be, if this is already blocked, swing like this, right? Be ready for it. Then, as you scaled up, you came in through lamps, and then you came back sight. Again, you didn't have to push spawn. You need to, I think you need to scale that back just a little bit. Pushing spawn every time, if you've got control of a site, is not always the right move. Especially in close situations where it's like a 4v4, 4v3. This instance, it was a 4v1, so it was fine. But you peeked perfectly here, right? You pre-aimed the spot that they might have been in, and then you swung. Instead of doing what you normally do, which is you swing, you expose yourself to every angle, and then you adjust to where you see the enemy. I want you to stop peeking everything and looking for an enemy. I want you to pretend like there's an enemy at every corner you peek and treating that corner with respect. So as you peek, okay, they could be here. They're not. Great. They're not there. Great. They're not here. Great. Instead of doing this, oh, they're nowhere here, or oh, maybe they're here, so I have to adjust from here to here. And you did this perfect. Again, like I think it's important to highlight the times that you do it correctly so that you can learn from that and continue. You pre-aimed it and you shot, and it was perfect. This was a really, really good peek. I want you to continue to try doing that instead of what you're doing in other rounds where you're peeking after exposing yourself to everything and adjusting.
There's a way we can enter hookah with the trips. Because if he's holding hookah, I can flash out and then someone runs and break the trip.
Okay.
Get out of my
Your
way.
crosshair should be a little more to the
You
left
ready?
here, as you scaled
No.
up. Yep.
3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Nice.
Not bad executing on the plan. You get the kill here.
Viper's
Not
there.
bad. Nope. Don't like that.
Oh, that was a bad entry.
I'm glad you agree. Yeah, I mean, not much to say there other than just wait. Yeah, be patient. Still got a whole minute and 20 seconds on the round. There's really no need for you to like push in that quickly. You can just wait, flash out, and you can take control of site pretty quickly there. But I'm glad you recognized that wasn't a good entry. So here you should be ahead of your gecko. You should be telling him, hey, give me a second. Let me peek it.
I think she
Go
will
ahead of
this.
you. Crosshair
Yeah,
is
she
not
will.
great either.
Who's next?
Do you want to make noise or?
You already made noise. You just
She's not
took
here.
a step and you got the orb. So just shoot out the wall.
I'm hearing footsteps here. They might have. Oh, it's you guys.
You definitely heard people on site. You heard a Cypher and you heard a Sage.
Be careful, flank. Oh, Sage died, so we can go through lamps now. Let's come.
Smoking out.
I'm going through showers.
Okay, good flash. Didn't clear the angle fully there on the right. Okay, that's a good entry. That's a good entry. Your gecko created pressure on one side of the map, or one side of the site for you to kind of take action on the other side. So that's not a bad entry. Okay, should be calming the fact that you see a Sage wall to your teammates right now.
It's clear.
I bet you money your gecko or wingman dies here pushing out because you haven't communicated anything to them yet.
They're here. Be careful.
Yep, there it is. Okay, let me explain why this is so important. Bind is a really, really weird map. Not weird, but just you play it a lot differently as a defender. Really, so there's 4 choke points or 4 key points of entry as an attacker, right? There's long, there's hookah, there's short, and then there is bathroom or shower. Most of the time, people are going to come in through hookah or short because it's the easiest to rotate from and easiest to play around in most maps. However, you have teleports here, so it's a lot different. As a defender, on the defending side, these outer extremities are the most important parts of the map to hold because it prevents teams from being able to get onto site and do anything with that control. So let's just kind of take an example here. Let's say you're pushing A short and you want to plant default. If you know there are defenders in shower or bathroom and you don't have control of the space, you can't do anything with the space that you take into U-Haul, right? Because they can just peek out and shoot whoever's trying to plant default. Likewise, if you try to plant back here, you know that there might be people rotating. And so holding shower here essentially stalls and prevents anything from happening on A site. Same thing goes for B. If you hold control of all of this, so octagon and long, and there's no pressure from the attackers, as soon as the attacking team pushes out and starts trying to plant or take space or control anything, all they have to do is hold this angle and you're more than likely going to die. Because now you have to hold multiple angles. You have to hold a push from here. You have to hold a push from here. You have to hold a push from here. You have to hold pushes from cubby, from backside. There's so much for you to do if you don't have control of long. So within this round, what does that mean? You know that there were 2 people here. I think it's Sage and one other player. You didn't communicate to your team early enough that there was a Sage wall here. And so your team saw you scaling up long and thought, oh, okay, well, she's long. We're going to go ahead and push into site now. They throw their wingman. Gecko gets on site and gets killed here by the jet. So there were 3 here total, I think. But what you should have been doing is explaining to them as the round progresses, hey, I see a sage wall. Hey, I hear 2 people. So let me just kind of show you how I would communicate throughout this round so that it gives you like an idea of what you should generally be communicating and how proactive you should be with your communication for your team. Sage wall long. Shooting out the sage wall. Give me a second, guys, to clear up long and octagon. I don't know how many are there. One long, one long. Two long, two long, two long in octagon and long.
They're here. Be careful.
So look at how much more information I gave the team than what you did, right? They're already on site. They're already planting. And the only comm that you've given them after everything that you've done is they're here. Be careful. That's not going to help your team because they're already executing. If you gave them all the information, hey, I heard somebody here. Hey, I heard somebody here. Sage wall long. If you did all that as you were scaling up, maybe they wait here in hookah, right? Maybe they wait, or maybe they pinch with you here in hookah, or out of hookah and into long. Again, it's about being intentional and proactive with your communication here to help your team out.
As much as you want. I would prefer if you don't make low footsteps.
You should be ahead of your gecko here.
God damn it, man.
Yeah, okay. This is the same concept that I've been talking about. So let me go back in game to show you again how this pans out. Okay, so first 2 things to get out of the way. Don't let your gecko be the one that pushes first. You should be the one pushing first more often than not. That's not a strict rule, but as a duelist, if you're pushing with an initiator, you should be in front, and they should be the ones setting you up with flashes or stuns or whatever the hell else. But generally speaking, you want to be the one ahead. So tell your gecko here, if he's scaling up ahead of you, like, hey, gecko, give me a second. Let me get in front of you, right? You want to be proactive in that communication. Second, don't do this in the middle of a round. Inspecting your gun is just not, you just don't want to do that unless you're trolling or it's unrated or there's like 0 chance you could lose the round. You don't want to do that because it just kind of takes you out of focus. And then this is the most important part. Again, crosshair placement. I want to illustrate this from the concept of your defender's point of view, because something again that you mentioned to me as we were kind of discussing the idea of a bot review is that you feel like when you're in gunfights you lose instantly to the person that's peeking or holding the angle. And here's I think the reason why. This defender here, so Jet was right here, kills your gecko. Look at the adjustment period, or look at the adjustment that Jet has to make to kill you. Shoots gecko. Look at how simple that was versus your adjustment. You're looking straight ahead. The gecko dies. You now have to do all of this. You have to move your crosshair all the way to where the Jet is and then tap. This Jet has a much easier adjustment period than you do because they're pre-aiming that angle and they're already ready and locked into your general area. So I say that to say it's not that you're losing gunfights instantly. It's that you're not ready for the gunfights when they happen, right? This has happened a few times so far where your crosshair is just out in the middle of nowhere and somebody peeks you and now you have to make an adjustment and then shoot instead of being ready for it. So the minute you're scaling, keep your crosshair here. Look at where my crosshair is. And then as soon as I get to common areas, I peek, ready. I peek, ready. I peek, ready. You want to make sure that your crosshair is placed in the exact spots that they need to be placed in. Because otherwise you're going to be doing exactly what you did here. You're out in the middle of nowhere, then you have to adjust and shoot, and you're going to lose that fight every single time.
It's all you, little homie. Thrash hit him.
You should be following that thrash in. Again, initiator utility.
Cutting their vision. Spike down A.
What the fuck?
So I mentioned that earlier, you didn't fully clear that angle. Let me show you in game. So in an earlier round when your gecko was like pressuring the left side of sight with his thrash, you came out here and you flashed right here, not a bad flash, but then you didn't fully clear all of this. You did this kind of like half clear and then you just kept going. Again, you want to make sure that as you go through, so like let me just show you how this would work. You peek here, nothing. You peek here, nothing. You continue, you peek here, nothing. You peek up here, nothing, right? So I could have probably done that a little bit better. You peek like that, peek like that, peek like this, up on bench, then you push this way. And then you have multiple angles that they could push, and this is when you throw your flash out, right? So you throw this, peek, peek, right? You want to make sure that you are isolating your gunfights and that you're clearing corners. This particular instance, I think the jet was probably up here. You really need to make sure that you're perfectly and completely clearing every angle. Pretend there is somebody in every possible angle that you can push, and you always want to clear it fully. You don't want to do this half clear where you see this way and just continue going, because people can hide really, really deep into a corner here. I like the idea of fighting for shower control. Like I mentioned, outer extremities of this map are super important to control, so this is good, and you and Gecko doing it is good too. I like you taking advantage of the fact that you are
showers clear.
comms.
B rotate.
Not a bad rotate. You know that they're not short because your chamber has full control of that. I like that your Gecko stayed.
Target spotted B.
I'm here with you, chamber.
Spike down B.
Busy as targets.
There ain't no.
One enemy remaining.
Peek together.
That's a good piece.
Nice, nice.
Good job waiting for your chamber to scale up. Yeah, telling them to be together. That's not bad. You exposed yourself a little bit too much when you pushed onto B site, but not bad.
Clear. Showers clear.
Good comms again. Good job helping your chamber. This is good. You got your intel in showers and you rotated to help out your chamber. This is
Spike down
good.
A.
Well
One
done.
enemy remaining.
He's just sitting in their fucking spawn.
Crosshair placement. Yeah, those peaks. Okay, so you won that duel, but those peaks are, again, they're not super, they're not intentional enough. So again, I'm going to show you how I would have peaked that as I scaled back in through short. Okay, so you got the intel that he's back here because your Gecko died to him back here, right? So you're scaling, you're scaling, you're scaling. You peak this like this, right? You don't run out and then start looking this direction. Your crosshair was here at one point when you know he's to your right. So this is not going to help you at all. You want to make sure that you are peeking. Okay, if you want to clear left side, great. Peek it like this. So one at a time. And then you scale once you clear this area, you peek this one at a time. Right? And then as you continue to push, you peek one at a time. But what you were doing was exposed to every angle, clear. Exposed to every angle, clear. Exposed to every angle, clear. Right? You're putting yourself in really disadvantageous positions by having to clear everything all at once, right? This is not a good clear. This is. Right? You want to be very intentional with it. So again, it's not that you are losing firefights because people are seeing you first or because your latency is wrong or your FPS is bad or whatever. It's because you're exposing yourself to every angle possible and you're having to adjust to where you see the enemy instead of isolating angle one by one, right? You want to make sure that you're always doing that and you're always cognizant of it. In this round, I give you a little bit of leeway because realistically it was I think it was a 4v1 at that point. And you had people right behind you to trade you, so it's fine. But just make sure you're cognizant of it as you continue going through your peeking and your angle training. It's a good rotate because you know you have full control of A, right? You've got chamber in short, you've got Gecko scaling up through shower, so they have to be B. Okay, again, angle isolation. You want to make sure you're not exposing yourself to everything at the same time, right? So one at a time, right here, okay, right here, got it, great. You are exposing yourself to everything and then you're looking for the enemy and adjusting. Luckily, the Sage was weird and missed a bunch of shots and she had a Spectre and she was crouched, so it was a little bit easier to shoot her because the natural tendency in that instance is to kind of shoot for the body. But generally speaking, again, one at a time. Here, here, here. But good shots though. Those were good fights and good shots in general. You just need to make sure you're holding your angles or peeking your angles a little bit more intentionally.
Last one, Viper.
There.
you should be communicating specifically, hey, came out, good fight, good gunplay. Just in general, again, isolate those angles. I hope this helped you out, and I think really the main things to focus on right now are properly peeking angles the way I explained, scaling up on a map properly while holding the angles as you scale, and communication and coordination off of your team's utility and movement. If you properly work through those 3 things, I think you'll comfortably hit high silver to low gold. I'd love to hear what kind of advice or feedback anybody else would give this player in the comments, but see you all in the next VOD review.